Hello, welcome to August 16th, 2023. My name is Kurt, and this is my daily Good Life meditation. This is an exercise that I do each and every morning, shortly after waking up. It's now 4:32 a.m. Wow, I'm doing good on time, even though I went next door to feed the cat. So, wow, just wonder. Anyway, I do this exercise to remember my life objectives and principles, those which are outlined in my book, Going Alone. I also use this time to reflect on the last 24 hours, including my last night's sleep. I then think about the coming day, assess my life story, ask myself if I'm ready to die, and then carry on with the day. But before we do all that, let's read two poems from Keats, of course. We're going to read a long poem, which is called Stanzas on Some Skulls in Beaulieu Abbey near Inverness. This one we won't study, we'll just read it on through. We studied it a little bit yesterday. There's actually not a lot to study here. Just picture John Keats in this ruined abbey from the 13th century. I don't know if there really are skulls laying around, but that's the way he writes this poem, as though he's picking up skulls, imagining the life of the man who had once possessed that skull, who was a member of the abbey, and was, of course, in his heart a man with his weaknesses and failings and subtleties. It's a very interesting poem, a very interesting idea. Let's go ahead and read it. Here we go. Stanzas on Some Skulls in Beaulieu Abbey near Inverness. I shed no tears. Deep thought or awful vision I had none. Wait a minute, is this the one? Oh, wait, this is also the one where he wrote it in collaboration with his friend, so Charles Brown. But you know what? So I will interject where Brown's words I'll mention Brown, and then Keats I'll mention Keats, so you'll know where I go back and forth. Here we go, one more time. I shed no tears, deep thought or Keats. I shed no tears, deep thought or awful vision I had none. By thousand petty fancies I was crossed, Wordsworth, and mocked the dead bones that lay scattered by Shakespeare. Yeah, what? So he offset them by parentheses. So the words Wordsworth and Shakespeare appear to have been written by Brown, and then Keats filled in the rest. The rest is a little clearer. And here's where the note says, written in collaboration with Charles Brown. Keats's contributions are given in Roman time. Brown. Here's where it really starts, I think. In silent barren synod met within those roofless walls. Keats. Where yet the shafted arch and carved fret cling to the ruin. The brethren's skulls mourn, dewy wet, their creeds undoing. Brown. The mitred ones of Nice and Trent were not so tongue-tied. No, they went hot to their councils, scarce content with orthodoxy. But ye, poor tongueless things, were meant to speak by proxy. Keats. Your chronicles no more exist, since Knox the revolutionist destroyed the works of every fist that scrawled black letter. Well, I'm a craniologist. It may do better. This skullcap wore the cowl from sloth or discontent, perhaps from both, and yet one day, against his oath, he tried escaping. For men, though idle, may be loath to live on gaping. A topper this. He plied his glass more strictly than he said the mass, and loved to see a tempting lass come to confession, letting her absolution pass, or fresh transgression. This crawled through life in feebleness, boasting he never knew excess, cursing those crimes he scarce could guess, or feel but faintly, with prayers that heaven would come to bless men so unsaintly. Here's a true churchman, He'd affect much charity, and ne'er neglect to pray for mercy on the elect, but thought no evil in sending heathen, Turk, and sect all to the devil. Poor skulls, thy fingers set ablaze with brown. Poor skulls, thy fingers set ablaze with silver saint in golden rays. The holy missal thou didst craze, mid bead and spangle, while others pass their idle days in coil and wrangle. Keats. Long time since this sconce a helmet wore, but sickness smites the conscious sore. He broke his sword and hither bore, his gear and plunder took to the cowl, then raved and swore at his damned blunder. Brown. This lily-colored skull, with all the teeth complete, so white and small, belonged to one whose early pale a lover shaded. He died ere superstition's gall his heart invaded. Keats. Ah, here is undivulged crime. Despair forbade his soul to climb beyond this world, this mortal time of fevered sadness, until their monkish pantomime dazzled his madness. A younger brother this, a man aspiring as a tartan Khan, but curbed and baffled he began the trade of frightening. It smacked of power, and here he ran to deal heaven's lightning. This idiot skull belonged to one, a buried miser's only son, who, penitent ere he began to taste of pleasure and hoped heaven's dread wrath to shun, gave hell his treasure. Here is the forehead of an ape, a robber's mark, and near the nape that bone faiant bears just the shape of carnal passion. Ah, he was one for theft and rape in monkish fashion. This was the porter. He could ring or dance or play, do anything, and what the friars bade him bring, they ne'er were balked of, matters worth remembering and seldom talked of. Enough. Why need I further pour? This corner holds at least a score, and yonder twice as many more of reverend brothers. 'Tis the same story over and over. They're like the others. I really like that poem. Kind of reminds me of that one cave unique one I found on Okinawa. It was full of skulls, and I held up one. I've got a picture, I'm ashamed to say. I was young and foolish. I wonder what the story of each of those skulls was. I can roughly imagine. Okay, today's poem doesn't need much study. It's called Translated from Ronsard, which is Pierre Ronsard, the French poet. I really tried to dig into it to find out what the story behind this was. I couldn't. It appears to be that this might be a poem that Ronsard wrote about, possibly, I don't gain it from it. It may be just a snippet. Ronsard wrote, he wrote love poems. He wrote poems in nature, so nature very similar to Keats. I can see why Keats would have been interested in that. The only poem I could really find that was reference to it was something that Ronsard wrote to a young woman and asking if she would still love him when he was old. You know, like the Beatles, when I'm 53, will you still love me? Here we go. Translated from Ronsard. Nature withheld Cassandra in the skies for more adornment a full 1,000 years. She took their cream of beauty, fairest dyes, and shaped and tinted her above all peers. Meanwhile, love, capital L. So, and capital L, so some sort of personification for love. Meanwhile, love kept her dearly with his wings, and underneath their shadow filled her eyes with a richness that the cloudy kings of high Olympus uttered slavish sighs. When from the heavens I saw her first descend, my heart took fire, and only burning pains. They were my pleasures, they my life's sad end. Love poured her beauty into my warm veins. I'll confess confess I don't really get all that one. It's clearly an homage to a woman, Cassandra, and her beauty that seems to be destined to last the ages. Although I don't know quite the context, and I couldn't find the answers, so that's all right. I'll leave that at that. Okay, let's get on with it. Last night and yesterday, slept fine last night. It was rain last night, so I did wake up and listen to the sound of the rain. That was nice. Yesterday was a good, solid day. I brought maybe what might be my last big project in my career to a close yesterday. I'll have more projects, but I don't think I'll ever have a project that big again, a big multi-year project like that. So that was a significant thing, and closed well. We succeeded. We did our job. We did our duty. That feels good. Other than that, just power through the day. After between that, and good walks with the dog, and in the afternoon and evening with my wife. Took care of the neighbor's cat as I took on to do this week. Not a big deal. I went to the beach and swam in the ocean, swam hard. I noticed that even as hard as I swim, I can't seem to really, my physique doesn't go much beyond just fit. That's about all the best I can get, which is fine. But I've really been swimming hard for weeks now, every day, and really swimming hard out there in the ocean. And I'm not after a body that's trim like when I was young, but I'm expecting it. As hard as I'm swimming, but it ain't coming. That's interesting. That tells me something about the nature of the way the body changes. That's fine. No, nothing else from yesterday. It was just a good, solid day. Very satisfying day of work. Let's do the good life. My 7 objectives are: to be always ready to die, to make good and effective use of time, to develop and maintain good and sound life principles, to cultivate good emotional reactions, to perform good actions, to recognize my true limits and my true opportunities, and to do just one thing at a time, and do that thing slowly and deliberately and carefully. My 34 principles are: war, reason, homunculus, Anchorhold, home of good and evil, purpose, atomic principle, principle of nature, the pirate ride, maturity, the social principle, the principle of family, public speaking, temperance, life will not go well, the horror show, that which must be born, the feast of woeful, distraction, agency in the great indifference, the best seat in the house, the restless man, the path of wildness, the great life adventure, the risk of avoiding risk, sin and damnation, complete oblivion, the season of philosophy, script writing, the bullseye aim, the uphill climb, arena and utility, nothing is enough, and the principle of fun. Seems pretty straightforward now. Those are the 34 principles that I use to achieve the 7 objectives to help me to have a better chance to achieve them. And they work. They work quite well. Okay, now as for today, it's Wednesday. Got a full day of work ahead of me. I'm going to be doing a special I've been asked to work with another unit for 2 hours today. That'll be interesting. So I'll do that. And just carry on with all my stuff for the day. I'll do my duty, and in between, in my breaks, I'll read my book. I get a 20-minute break in the morning and a 20-minute break in the afternoon. And then in the evening, of course, I'll sit in the garden and read. Continuing on Scary Smart by Mo Gaudet, learning all about the arrived age of AI. Really interested in that. Also, I finished Stoic Poetry Volume 1 yesterday. I published it, so it should be available now to buy. So I'll probably, that's that. I do have free time coming up over the week, and coming this weekend, I'll be hopefully finishing my first science fiction book, collaboratively written with AI. I also need to begin planning my big adventure, Kurt's big adventure, as I go to life living in a Prius coming up. About 8 months away. September, October, November, December, January, February, March, April, May. eight or 9 months, depending if I leave in April or May. That's pretty much it. So with that, my life story, I am here at the end of my career, about to have a big transitional adventure, then off to a life in Japan. After that, I will, after that I will, well then I'll die. Anything else? Am I ready to die? Yeah, my life's work is, my affairs are in order, my relationships are sound, and my life's work is complete. I'm ready to die. I don't want to die today, but if it happens, then I won't look back. Not that I'm going anywhere. I won't look back as I descend into oblivion. With that, then my life is done, if not finished. I wish you all the best. Be safe, but not too safe. You know what? I forgot to put the thing on. Whoops.